Minister, I too want to welcome you into the House this afternoon. I also to join with colleagues in sending condolences to Minister Humphreys on the sad loss of her mother indeed. This is very important for so many people, this bill, and obviously the Labour Party will support it and make sure that the quickest possible passage through this House happens in reality. However, there are a number of issues that I would like to raise with you today, Minister, and I want to start with carers. The first issue I wanted to raise with you is those who may now qualify from the welcome increase in the means test have to wait until June 2024 before they will receive that payment. You will be aware, indeed Minister Humphreys will be aware, that the means test is an issue that I have raised with her a number of times, both here and indeed at the Social Protection Committee. It is my long-held view and belief that there should be no means test on carers, given the fact that Family Carers Ireland have so often told us that carers in this country are saving the state $20 billion per year. I know I have a number of cases that were still outside the means test, yet they continue to provide, Minister, 24/7 care for their loved one and are asking me the question why they have to wait another further 6 months while not benefiting from the increase that is promised. I also want to welcome, Minister, the introduction of a carers credit for those who have cared for 20 years or more. But recently, Minister, I've come across two cases where carers, and both of them indeed are women, worked for a number of years and then spent in one case 12 years and in another case 15 years caring for a loved one. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate for them that both will not qualify for this new credit. Maybe, Minister, you can inform us how the 20-year rule was arrived at. It would seem unfair that spending 15 years caring and unable to work would now not carry any credits under this new scheme. And I am welcoming the scheme, something we've asked for a long time in the Labour Party, and I've mentioned it continuously at the Social Protection Committee. But that particular person, is my understanding, and maybe you can confirm, will not benefit from the fact that she spent 15 years caring for, in this case, her late mother, and she hasn't the 20 years completed. Also, I've come across two cases in the last week, staying with carers, Minister, in relation to those on CE schemes. It is my understanding on a CE scheme that you must complete 19.5 hours a week to obtain their payment, and it's something I know that you're very familiar with, Minister. But I've come across, as I say, two cases recently where, because the people are actually minding and potentially would become carers and are working those 19.5 hours, they'll be outside the maximum rate of carers of 18.5 hours a week. So they don't qualify for carers. Yet these people are carrying out cares day in, day out, outside of the 19.5 hours that they do on their CE scheme. But because they are working outside the 18.5 hours rule, then it is my understanding again that they will not qualify carers. It's something you might come back to me on, Minister, or you might just clarify for us today. Again, Minister, and I bring up a number of cases that come through my own clinics, constituency clinics, over the last number of weeks, and one that I've looking to raise and for ask you to comment on is a living alone increase allowance. In this case, the person is living alone. Their spouse has been living in a nursing home for over 10 years. They have provided a letter from the nursing home stating that their spouse would never return home and would live out their life in that nursing home. Unfortunately, they were told 3 weeks ago that this will not qualify them for the living alone increase, but to all intents and purposes they have lived, as I've stated, 10 years by themselves in that house, and they did provide a letter from the nursing home stating that their loved one would not be back in that home and they would live out their life in the nursing home. I do consider that unfair, Minister, and I would ask you to consider such circumstances into the future. I think it is. We're not talking about a major amount of people here, but there are a number of people who I believe should qualify for living alone increase with a loved one who's lived and will live their lives out in a nursing home, and they should qualify, as I stated, in my opinion, for the living alone increase. I want to also raise the role of foster carers and the important role that they play in the state, Minister. I am aware that the budget will see an increase in January for the great work foster carers carry out on a daily basis in this state, but they again must wait until November 2024 before they get the full implementation of what they truly deserve. I know a large number of those fostering have contacted me as to why, again, this is the case. We must, these people richly deserve the income not to come into place for another 12 months, beggars the question, which I'm asking you today. And I know the Irish Foster Carers Association are disappointed by this and are asking the same question. And the other question I want to ask in relation to foster caring is one, again, that I've come across a number of times, Minister, and that's, again, the 20-year rule for carers allowance. will those in foster care qualify for this rule? Because I've come across one case in particular where a woman has spent 30 years helping this state fostering children over, I'd say, a 30-plus year period, and yet when it came to the age of qualifying for a state pension, she didn't qualify for a state pension in her own right, and she was totally dependent on her husband's pension. And again, I believe this is wrong. I believe foster care should be included in that carers allowance 20-year rule. This woman would be one that would qualify, and again I ask you today, Minister, to comment on that and maybe let us know whether that is actually the case. I want to join with other colleagues, as I did this morning, in welcoming the announcement of the extension of hot meals to primary schools throughout the state. I believe in my own county, in County Kildare, further 28 schools will benefit from this announcement. And there can be no doubt, Minister, that this is a great initiative which will make a difference for so many primary schools, but it will also give indeed give a hot meal at such an important point of the day. But as I said this morning, when the issue was raised, there's another knock-on benefit, and that is due to employment in this sector now. And I mentioned the wonderful Bradbury's Bakery in my own hometown, who run a wonderful service delivering hot meals to a number of schools in the area and employing a large number of people in the town of Athy as a result. I'm also aware of recent job announcements in this sector in Tipperary as a further example of this very welcomed announcement. Minister, in finishing up, I do want to welcome the extension of child benefit for those still in secondary school. You mentioned that in your own speech, the secondary school who are to 18, as you said in your own speech. It was an issue that I actually raised with Minister Humphreys this time last year, and I am indeed very happy to see that it is included, albeit, as you said in your own speech as well, they have people in that says have to wait another year. I would welcome the fact that it could be included now, but it is September 2024 when it will come in. I can't let the opportunity go by, Minister, without mentioning the Green Paper on disabilities. And can I ask you to confirm again that there has been an extension in the public consultation for a further 3 months? I've raised a number of concerns around this Green Paper. I'm contacted regularly by people, and indeed I had a number of people in my own office on Monday of last week who received letters from social protection about job activation schemes in April and May of this year. Now, that was well before a Green Paper was announced, and they have serious concerns, and I can provide the letter that they received. Both these people are seriously concerned about what this actually means for them and what the Green Paper will mean for them and the tiered payments as a result of that. So I think public consultation, I welcome the fact that there's an extension of public consultation. I believe more should be done in going around the country to explain to people what's happening. One of the reasons that these people said in their discussions with me on Monday was that Dublin, I think Cork and Galway were the 3 locations that they could have went to, but unfortunately they couldn't get to those. So I believe that the Minister or the Department need to go further around the country and have more locations in relation to trying to explain what's happening in relation to Green Paper and address a lot of the fears that those on disability have as a result of those announcements, and the fact that those people had received job activation letters going back, I think, to March, April of this year. So look, we want to support this bill. We believe there's a lot good in this bill. I want to work with you and Minister Humphreys on ensuring that this bill goes through the House in the quickest possible time, and I look forward to that happening as well, Minister. Good. I'll ask you.